There are moments when a single word can open a doorway into something far greater than itself, and sometimes that word is your own name. When spoken with clarity, it becomes more than a sound. It becomes a pulse, a reminder, a quiet rhythm inside you that says, "Remember who you are and why you are here." Today, I want to share that rhythm with you, not as something grand or distant, but as something deeply human, something all of us carry. A name is never born alone. It grows from the people who came before you, from the values that shaped your childhood, and from the path you choose to walk every single day. You inherit it, yes, but eventually you learn to build it. You learn that a name is not something you protect by hiding it. It is something you honor by living it with sincerity, with conviction, and with the courage to stay true to what matters. Throughout my life, I have learned that identity is not made of crowns, ceremonies, or symbols. It is made of the small decisions, the ones no one sees, where you choose responsibility over convenience, service over comfort, and purpose over noise. Those choices give your name a direction, a heartbeat, and a meaning that cannot be taken away. And there is another truth about identity that I have discovered over the years. You do not carry it alone. Along the way, there are people who walk with you quietly, whose presence strengthens you without demanding anything in return. There are bonds that do not need explanation to feel real. There are relationships that become a compass when you lose your way, a refuge when the world becomes loud, and a reminder that you are more than your role. You are a person with emotions, imperfections, and dreams. Those who share your roots know the weight of your name without you ever having to describe it. They understand the silences between words. They understand what responsibility feels like from the inside. They see you not as an image, but as someone learning, trying, growing. Their support becomes the invisible architecture that keeps you upright when life demands more than you expected. And in that space of shared understanding, courage is born. Every step forward becomes easier when you know someone is walking beside you, even in the moments where the world sees only one of you standing. Support does not always look like applause. Sometimes it looks like a glance that says you are not alone. Sometimes it looks like trust or patience, or a quiet smile that reminds you that your name is not just an obligation, it is a gift. The world often tells us that identity is defined by how loudly we speak or how brightly we shine. But the truth is far simpler. Identity grows strongest in silence, in reflection, in the steady heartbeat that guides you toward what is right, not what is easy. Your name becomes powerful not because others repeat it, but because you live it with integrity. And when your purpose aligns with that integrity, something beautiful happens. Your name becomes not just yours, but a bridge between you and those you serve. There is a kind of strength that does not announce itself, a strength that comes from remembering your roots, from valuing those who stand with you, and from recognizing that responsibility is not a burden but a path. It teaches you to look beyond yourself, to listen before you speak, and to act with a sense of service that is deeper than recognition. In that sense, the pulse of your name is not a call to elevate yourself, it is a call to remain grounded, to stay connected to the values that shaped you, to honor the people who walked beside you, and to move into the future with humility and determination. And so, as I stand here, I carry that rhythm with me, steady, quiet, and real. It reminds me that identity is a journey, one you walk with others, one you shape with your choices, one you strengthen through service. It reminds me that purpose does not need to be loud to be powerful, and it reminds me that the world is not changed by titles, but by people who understand what their name truly means. Thank you for listening, for sharing this moment, and for reminding me that a name gains its true pulse only when it connects to others. May each of us walk with a rhythm that reflects who we are, who we hope to become, and how we choose to serve. A name carries a weight that cannot be measured, yet it rests so lightly on the tongue when spoken. It moves through the air as a single sound, but within it lives a world, a past, a present, and a future that stretches far beyond what we can see. When I think about what a name truly means, I think of it as a living promise. Not a promise made once, but one that unfolds each day, shaped by choices, strengthened by responsibility, and deepened by the quiet courage to remain true to oneself. A name begins as something given. You do not choose it, yet it becomes the first part of your identity. It is whispered into your childhood long before you understand its depth. Over time, you begin to sense that it carries more than letters. It holds the echoes of those who came before you, the values that shaped your family, the traditions that guided you, and the hopes placed gently in your hands. In that way, a name is always alive because it breathes through the lives connected to it. It grows as you grow. It strengthens as you learn to honor it. It becomes a promise you step into rather than a label you simply wear. There are moments when you feel the presence of that promise more intensely. It might be in times of joy, when you recognize how far you have come, or in moments of uncertainty, when you feel the need to steady yourself and return to what matters. A name can silence doubts simply by reminding you that you are part of something larger, something rooted in purpose. It encourages you to rise, even when rising feels difficult. It asks you to be thoughtful, even when the world pushes toward haste. It teaches you that responsibility does not come from pressure. It comes from understanding the meaning of what you carry. The promise within a name is not about perfection. It is about sincerity. It is about trying, learning, and growing in the direction of the values that define it. Each day, you have the opportunity to honor that promise through small actions, the kind that never make headlines, yet shape who you become. How you treat others, how you face challenges, how you choose to act when no one is watching. All these decisions quietly write the story that your name will tell long after the moment has passed. With time, you also begin to understand that a name does not belong to you alone. It exists in the hearts of those who know you. It reflects the trust others place in you. It becomes part of the bonds you build, bonds of friendship, of family, of shared experience. The way you carry your name affects not only your path, but also the spaces you walk through and the people you encounter. When the promise in your name is guided by compassion and integrity, it has the power to inspire others, even in ways you may never fully see. There is a gentle strength in embracing the promise you carry. It does not rush. It does not demand applause. It simply guides you like a steady rhythm that remains constant even when the world changes around you. It reminds you to move with intention, to listen carefully, and to act with the understanding that every step contributes to something meaningful. In this way, a name becomes a compass. It keeps you grounded in your roots and encourages you to grow toward the future with clarity. Every person discovers this promise differently. Some feel it through the stories passed through generations. Others feel it through the trust placed upon them. For some, it emerges in moments of stillness when they look inward and realize how far responsibility reaches. But no matter how the realization comes, the essence remains the same. Identity is not fixed, it is shaped. And a name becomes a living promise only when you choose to give it depth through your actions. As you walk through life, the promise in your name will sometimes ask for courage. It will ask you to step forward when it would be easier to step back. It will ask you to represent not just yourself, but also the values you carry. It will ask you to be patient when the path feels long, and steadfast when challenges arise. This is not a burden, it is an honor. For it reminds you that your life has purpose, and that the world is influenced not by titles, but by people who understand what it means to serve something greater than themselves. And yet, the promise is not only duty, it is also connection. It is the warmth between those who share your journey. It is the trust built with others who understand the rhythm of your life. It is the quiet reassurance that you are not alone in shaping the meaning of your identity. There is strength in knowing that the promise you carry is supported by those who believe in you, who see the effort behind your steps, and who walk beside you with loyalty and understanding. A name becomes truly alive when it reflects both the individual and the collective, the person you are and the people who shaped you, the dreams you carry and the responsibilities you uphold. It becomes a bridge between the past and the future, between what was inherited and what will be created. And in that bridge lies the quiet beauty of purpose. As the years pass, the promise in your name deepens. It learns from your failures as much as from your successes. It expands with every act of kindness, every challenge overcome, every moment of reflection. It becomes a story written not only by circumstances, but by your choices, choices rooted in understanding, courage, and a sincere desire to contribute positively to the world. When you look back, you may realize that the promise you thought you were carrying was actually guiding you, shaping you, helping you grow into someone stronger, more thoughtful, and more compassionate. In the end, a name is not a destination. It is a journey, one you walk with intention, with humility, and with a sense of service. It remains alive because you choose to honor it, not with grand gestures, but with everyday actions filled with meaning. And as long as you continue to follow that quiet inner rhythm, the promise within your name will never fade. It will move with you, steady and true, reminding you that identity is not something to be claimed, but something to be lived. There is a kind of strength in life that never announces itself, yet you feel it in every step you take. It does not ask for recognition, and it does not need an audience. It grows quietly, almost invisibly, shaping you from within. That strength comes from the bonds we share with those who know us beyond what the world sees. And there is no bond more quietly powerful than sisterhood, not defined by words, not measured by grand gestures, but woven through moments so small and natural that you only understand their depth when you pause long enough to feel it. Sisterhood is not something you learn, it is something you grow into. It begins in the simplest moments, in shared looks, in unspoken understanding, in laughter that only makes sense to the two of you, in the instinctive way you reach for each other without thinking. It forms long before responsibility becomes real, long before the world expects anything from you. It starts as companionship, develops into trust, and eventually becomes a steady source of strength that walks beside you every day, even when life becomes complex. Over time, you begin to understand that this connection is not fragile, it does not weaken under pressure. In fact, it becomes stronger precisely because life demands so much from each of you. The world may not always leave space for simplicity, but sisterhood creates its own space, quietly, faithfully, without needing to be defended. It becomes a place where you can breathe, where you can speak honestly, where you can simply exist without performing or proving anything. There is a certain security that comes from knowing someone understands not only your role in the world, but also the person you are beneath it. Someone who sees the weight you carry without you having to describe it. someone who can sense your uncertainty before you say a word, someone who does not require explanations because they have walked alongside you long enough to know when your silence means strength and when it means you need support. That kind of understanding is not taught, it is felt. In the quiet moments shared between two people who have grown through the same chapters of life, there is a strength that no public spotlight can offer. It is strength that comes from shared history, from knowing what shaped each other, what lessons were learned together, what dreams were whispered in childhood, what responsibilities were accepted without hesitation. Each memory becomes a thread, and together they form something unbreakable. As you grow older, you realize how rare it is to have someone who knows both your past and your present so deeply. Someone who can calm your fears simply by being there, someone who gives you courage just by standing near you. Sisterhood does not depend on perfect agreement. It is not built on identical personalities or identical views. It is built on loyalty, the kind that does not waver, even when life takes you in different directions or demands different things from you. It is a loyalty that remains constant because it is rooted in something deeper than circumstance. This unspoken strength becomes even more meaningful when the responsibilities of adulthood begin to shape your days. When expectations rise, when decisions grow heavier, when your world becomes more public and less forgiving, the quiet presence of someone who understands you becomes not only comforting but grounding. It reminds you that you are more than the role you represent. It reconnects you to the person you were before the world began to watch, and the person you are beneath everything the world sees. There is a calm that comes from knowing you can be fully honest in at least one place, that you do not have to measure your words or conceal your doubts, that you can express your fears without worrying about how they will be interpreted. Sisterhood offers that kind of space, a refuge built on trust and reinforced by years of shared experience. It becomes a shelter in a world that can be loud, demanding, and endlessly scrutinizing. The strength found in that bond is not loud. It does not appear in dramatic declarations or public gestures. It lives in much smaller things, in a reassuring glance before a difficult moment, in a simple text that arrives at the perfect time, in the way someone can make you laugh when you most need to. Remember joy, in a presence that brings calm just by being there. This is the kind of strength that keeps you steady, even when everything around you shifts. Sisterhood also teaches humility. It shows you that you do not have to carry everything alone. It reminds you that vulnerability is not a weakness, but a bridge, a connection to those who love you not because of what you do, but because of who you are. It teaches you to lean, to trust, to recognize that strength does not always look like independence. Sometimes it looks like allowing someone else to stand beside you, to anchor you, to share the weight when the world grows heavy. There is courage in knowing that someone believes in you without needing proof. There is comfort in knowing that no matter what challenges arise, someone is already on your side simply because you share a bond that time only deepens. This quiet support becomes a source of stability that allows you to step into responsibilities with more confidence. You walk more firmly because you know you are not walking alone. Over the years, sisterhood becomes not just a relationship, but a mirror. It reflects the best parts of you back to you. It reminds you of your strength when you forget it, and your humanity when you try too hard to hide it. It celebrates your triumphs and softens your struggles. It teaches you that love does not always need to be spoken to be felt. Sometimes it is expressed in patience, in loyalty, in presence. Even when life leads you into different roles, different spaces, or different futures, sisterhood remains a constant thread, a reminder of the roots you share, of the journey you walked together, and of the support that will never disappear. It is a quiet, enduring promise that whatever life demands, whichever path opens next, you carry with you someone who understands your story from the inside. And in that understanding lies one of the greatest strengths any person can have, a strength that is not performed but lived, not declared but demonstrated, not spoken but deeply felt. A strength that stays with you, steady and silent, giving you the courage to face the world with clarity, purpose, and heart. That is the unspoken power of sisterhood, not in words, but in presence, not in display, but in truth. It is a gift that grows with time, strengthens with responsibility, and remains constant even as life changes. It is, without doubt, one of the deepest sources of strength a person can carry. Purpose begins quietly. It does not arrive with applause or visibility. It does not need grand entrances or dramatic declarations. Instead, it grows slowly, shaped by the choices we make when no one is watching, and strengthened by the understanding that true meaning in life is built through service, not spotlight. There is a certain clarity that comes when you realize that being seen is not the same as being useful, and that the deepest fulfillment comes not from recognition but from contribution. From an early age, many of us learn that responsibility is less about standing in front of others and more about standing for something. It is less about appearing confident and more about acting with conviction. Service teaches this. It reminds you that the value of what you do is not measured by how loudly it is acknowledged, but by how sincerely it touches the lives of others. When purpose is rooted in service, it is guided by empathy, humility, and a steady commitment to do what is right, even when the world is not watching. There is a gentle strength in stepping forward without seeking attention. It takes patience to understand that the work done behind the scenes often matters more than the moments placed in the public eye. Service shapes you in ways that recognition never can. It teaches endurance, it deepens gratitude, and it builds a sense of responsibility that becomes part of your identity. You begin to understand that purpose is not something you claim, it is something you earn through consistent actions and sincere intentions. The spotlight may illuminate, but it does not define. What defines you are the choices you make when the lights are off, the conversations where listening matters more than speaking, the decisions guided by integrity rather than convenience, the quiet efforts made to support others even when they never know your hand was there. These moments are the true architects of purpose. They shape who you are and who you are becoming. Service also teaches perspective. It reminds you that your role in the world is connected to the lives of many others, that your responsibilities are part of a larger whole. It helps you understand that every person carries their own challenges, hopes, and dreams. When you serve, you see the world through a broader lens, and you learn to value the strength that comes from unity rather than individuality. You begin to recognize that purpose grows not from standing above others, but from standing with them. There is humility in understanding that no matter the posture